So, one thing I talked about not long ago, and I was checking my analytics, if you will, my analytics here on YouTube, mostly my revenue. And I noticed that within the past month, one of the top 5 videos that I've uploaded in the past year, where I talked about, whether or not adult films, on cable channels like Showtime and such, if that phase for outlets like Showtime and others like Cinemax and so on was coming to an end. And I will say this: it feels like Showtime is holding out as best they can. They are, because it wasn't that long ago that Cinemax, stopped doing it, and even Stars, yeah, Stars stopped doing it as well. In fact, I think Stars had a Encore. I think it was the Encore division of Stars that did it, but yeah, they did it as well, and then they slowly phased that out. But it seems that Showtime and the subdivision, the movie channel TMC, are slowly holding out as best they can and adding more content or re-adding content from the past. But the reason I asked that is because, at one time I asked John Campia a similar question through a super chat, and he answered it. He answered it very well, and he basically brought it up, himself, that we're in an age now to where all you have to do is turn on the internet, make sure the site is safe. Well, he didn't mention make sure the site is safe, but he said we're in an age now to where you turn on the internet and you can, and from my own experience, make sure the site is safe. You can, basically see a lot of adult material. You can. You could see it from, here to eternity, if you know what I mean. But still, outside of that, you will go on to, places like Showtime or even Paramount Plus with Showtime, and you will see that they do have their section. They do have their block, saved up, the block on late night television, very late night television. And, they have their, category, they have their, the section as well when it comes to the app. But how much longer is it going to be? Well, that's a good question, because like I said, they are holding out as best they can. I guess you could say that they're doing it right by saying the section there is after hours. That's true. And yes, they do have parental, controls, meaning that that section would not be seen by kids. If the parents want to use Paramount Plus to entertain their kids. But of course, that after hours section on Paramount Plus is part of the Showtime hub, the Showtime, I guess you could say, section. But anyway, again, you got to respect maybe that they're doing it the right way, and that's why they're holding off as best they can, because, they have it sectioned off as after hours. So that way, if you're that kind of person and you get in the mood, that all you have to do is go over to that after hours, click on what you want to watch, fast forward to it, maybe a certain moment, and there you go. And if you're with somebody, well, and you want to be in the mood, that's one way of doing it as well. But again, the question is, how much longer do they have to go? How much longer are they going to hold off, if you will, until, essentially, Viacom, CBS, who owns Paramount, who owns Showtime and the movie channel, how long are they going to hold off until they say enough's enough? Well, right now they own Paramount and Showtime and all of them. That's soon to change with Skydance. Skydance is now going to be taking over real soon too. Now, I don't know if that's I think that's the whole thing. I think that's the whole shebang. So you got to wonder how much longer they're gonna be able to hold out when Skydance comes around and and takes over, because Skydance is known for associating with all kinds of entertainment, but rarely have you ever heard them, I guess, associate with very adult material, unless that adult material is part of the movies they help distribute or help contribute to. We'll have to see. But you have to wonder, though. You have to wonder how much longer Showtime is going to have their after hours section, not just, on their cable outlet, but as part of their Showtime hub on Paramount Plus when Skydance comes in and says, hey, we're the bosses now. Here's what's going to go down. Now, for all we know, Skydance might say, hey, we're going to be a little bit more lenient. We're going to allow you to have more adult material with your after hours for Showtime like you used to. And if that happens, hey, more power to them. Because Skydance, they're not like CBS or Viacom. They're not like CBS or Viacom. They're pretty much, they're pretty much more in it. They're pretty much more the own independent entity that's more free. Viacom and CBS, mostly Viacom, has control over all these entities, but they have a little leniency. They basically have a little, pull to basically, rein you in. For example, like I said, with the after hours on Showtime, they'll let you add in something here and there, maybe take something out, but add something in its place, and that's fine. But you can tell they have the limitations. They'll tell you, hey, you want to have it on for a year or at least 6 months, that's fine, a month, that's fine, and then that's it. But then, you'll have to remove it, replace it with something else, or just remove it and have one show or one after hours movie less in your category or in your, I guess you could say, your programming block to utilize. But Skydance could turn that all around. Now, am I saying Skydance is going to have full control? No. Skydance could say, hey, Paramount, Showtime, do your own thing. We're going to leave you to it, and that's it. We'll only step in when we have to. And that might be it. Again, it might, as some people have said, it might be a situation with Disney. Disney owns Marvel, Disney owns Lucasfilms, and they will only step in if they feel it's necessary. They will only step in if they feel, hey, we need to address this issue, and we need to address it now. And since it's not being addressed under the current Marvel Lucasfilm leadership, we at Disney, the overall people that own you, are going to come in, and we're going to do it for you. And that could be the situation with Paramount and Showtime. And I do apologize for that notification there. I do apologize. But that could be the same thing with Paramount and Showtime. They could step in and say, hey, look, not Paramount, but Skydance. Skydance, I'm sorry. It's early, too. It's early. I'm going to get myself ready for work in a little bit. But it's the same with Skydance. Skydance could step in, and that vibration, notification distracted me. I do apologize. But like I said, Skydance can step in, and they could say to Paramount and Showtime, hey, you're not fixing this issue, so we're going to step in and do it for you. But again, it could be the similar situation to where they say, hey, do your own thing, we're only going to step in when we have to. And that might be something as well. That might be what happens as well, but we'll have to see. I think it all begins like next year. I think it's supposed to begin like next year or very soon. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they do in the meantime. And by the way, that vibration notification was a Facebook Messenger. But we'll have to see what they do in the meantime. But, the question now looms with Skydance coming in and soon to take over. And I think Showtime being part of the whole package, maybe, because of the association with Paramount. You have to wonder if the after hours for Showtime, their adult films division, is going to last. You have to wonder that. And you also have to ask yourself this. I say that, I say they're the last holdout, if you will, and they're adding on material. I have to ask, you have to wonder, like, are they trying their best to hold out as best as they can by adding the material? Because some of the material they're adding on, you know, from what people have described to me, is a lot different than the material you see now or in the past couple of years. The material they're adding on goes back to about the early 2000s, early to mid 2010s, to where basically you would have an adult film, right? You would have an adult film with various lesbian scenes in there, and what would happen is, instead of what you see now, to where you have a lesbian scene, maybe graphic, maybe not, maybe soft, who knows, NFSW, who knows, you'll have a scene like that today in one of those adult films, and it and basically you'll see the two women, maybe or if it's a straight scene of the guy and the girl, just get it on, and that's it. It'll just be part of the scene, part of the moment, whether it's soft or not, whatever. It's it's just part of the scene, part of the script, and then you move on. And they act like they're the only ones in the room. Well, apparently, from what I've been told, a lot of the stuff that was added on lately, again, goes back to the early to mid 2010s, and some of this is adult films where you have a story, but when you have two girls get it on with each other, all of a sudden they start looking at the camera and basically breaking the fourth wall. And it's like, okay, you were doing good for a while, from what I understand. You were doing good for a while with the more up-to-date ones, even the 2024 ones, because they even have a new one out there in time for Halloween. And, it's, from what I understand, it's actually, people have told me it's actually kind of funny. It's supposed to be like a horror, it's supposed to be a lesbian erotic horror comedy, if you will. That's what it's supposed to be, a lesbian erotic horror comedy or something like that, or maybe not so much horror from what they've told me, but more along the lines of a lesbian erotic comedy in time for Halloween. And I think they said it's called Erotic Ghost Story or something. I'm not really sure. But basically, they said, the people that told me about this have said that from what they've seen, this feels like a natural movie. It feels like, there's no fourth wall breaking. It's just natural. Yeah, it's not the best. It's very B flicky, if you will. But it's it's got its moments. It's got its silliness in it. It's cheese factor, if you will. But the reason they brought that up to me is they said when you compare it to what was recently added back on along with it from the early to mid 2010s, it's like night and day, because those early to mid 2010s, even late 2000s, basically had the women, when they would get it on with each other, break the fourth wall. Yeah, they literally would. From what they told me, they literally would. Like, they even said that there was like one movie that did this, to where the women were crawling towards the camera, and then it just transitions to the next scene. It's like what the heck, what the heck? But to give credit where it's due, from what these people have told me, to give credit where it's due, basically they have also said that sometimes the actresses, if they're told, hey, you're going to do this LGBT scene with each other, they'll be kind of encouraged to at least give a glimpse towards the camera, like let their eyes shoot up straight at the camera, to kind of give an indication of, hey, they know you're watching, so they're going to put on a show for you, but not break the fourth wall entirely. Just do that like a hint, like we see you. we see what you're watching, and that's it, and just move on and act like no one's there. So it is so it is so it is interesting when you hear people give credit to those kind of shows. Like one of them they did bring up, like I said, was Paradise Cove, and they said that that was basically an early to mid 2000s show, and it was one of those shows that where again the actors and actresses, most of the actresses, knew people were going to watch, but they didn't make it so obvious to the point that you see now. So, okay, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to hear. But again, the way this relates to what I was talking about is you have to wonder, is Showtime knowing that their after hours run, not just on the cable channels, but also on their app, on the app Paramount Plus, you have to make it wonder if they know that there's this inevitable merger that Paramount's going to have, with Skydance, that that if their time is up, you have to wonder that. You have to wonder if they know that basically their time is up. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But it feels like they're trying to hold on for as long as they can by adding in material that's been there before, from what I've been told. But material that goes back to that genre, that era of the adult film. From places like Adam and Eve and CED, that break the fourth wall, which we don't see nowadays. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, click on the links in the description. Also check me out at dvanart.com at bvw1979. And yeah, give me your thoughts, guys. What do you think? And until next time, I'm out. But do you think Showtime's after hours run, its block, its, I guess you could say, section on the Showtime, in the Showtime hub on the Paramount Plus app, do you think that's all coming to an end real soon? Let me know. And until then, I'm out. Or do you think it's going to last and Skydance might allow it to grow even more than what it is now if it's part of this? Let me know. And until then, I am out.